Hi, today is day 89 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on recognizing God's hand in my life. So yay for today 89. This is technically the fourth video in a row that I am making because I've been kind of holding on to all the stuff that happened over the weekend. Weekends are the hardest for me for some reason. I think it's because my weeks just feel so hard that on the weekends I just want to decompress and not do anything, and that includes making my videos. So then it's Monday, and then Monday's the hardest day of the week because then I just have to feel like I'm playing catch up for the whole weekend. And then plus I have to do work and everything else on top of that. So it's already a crazy day, and today started out with my not wanting to get out of bed in the morning, which is nothing new for me, and then just getting overly irritated because I had to deal with my biological dad. And of course, I didn't have to, I chose to, and not entirely sure that was the best decision. And I just, yeah, it just I sent him a message yesterday to ask him for information, to ask my uncle something for me, and if he couldn't ask my uncle that, if he could just give me my uncle's information so that I could ask my uncle. And then of course he sent me a text back sometime in the middle of the night, and thankfully my phone was on silent, so it didn't wake me up or anything. I just saw it when I decided to get out of bed this morning, and then I was irritated because he didn't give me the information that I wanted, and he didn't seem to understand the question that I was asking. And then he just would randomly say other stuff that had absolutely nothing to do with what I was talking about. So I was kind of like, okay, well, I know this, and I don't care about this. I just want to do this. Like, I just want my uncle's information. I don't care about the other information that you're giving me. Or now I'm curious about the other information because I don't know what you're talking about. So, anyway, I just woke up and, well, I woke up to my alarm and I just kept hitting the snooze button. And then when I did get out of bed and look at my phone, turn off my alarm, I saw the text from him, and then I just irritated. So, of course, I was running late for work, and I didn't have time to read my scriptures and meditationals. I did read a little bit of my Book of Mormon. I did do some writing before I went to work just because I knew I needed God to help me get through today. I just did not know how much I was going to need God to help me get through today because today just sucked. And maybe not all of my day sucked. I think there's just bits and pieces of it that sucked, and I think that God just truly blessed me, and He's been with me all day to help me do this. And in making of the videos for the weekend, it's reminded me of all the things that happened this weekend and how much God has been a part of my life today. And all of those things that I was feeling and recognizing over the weekend are all things that are helping me deal with today. So it's kind of like they all just build up one little bit at a time. And yesterday I was kind of expecting, usually I do a lot of writing after I read my scriptures and meditationals, and I just had one thought, and I meant to send it to my sister, and I haven't yet. But it was just one thought, like one drop, that God can take one drop of effort and He can turn it into an ocean or a mountain or a river of faith and abilities. Like He could just make it something. If we have the faith to let Him, I guess. So I was just like, that's pretty amazing thought. So I just kind of left it at that because it was just pretty amazing thought. And I'm grateful for that thought. And that kind of helped me yesterday. And I wanted to share it with my sister. I talked to my sister for several hours yesterday. Maybe not several hours, maybe like an hour or so. It was nice chatting with my sister. But anyway, so I I did a little bit of writing this morning, and mostly it was just recognizing that I don't need to punish myself. I don't need to beat myself up. I don't need to deprive myself of things like my meditationals and my scripture study in the morning, just because I don't approve of someone else's behavior, or I don't like how I'm being treated, or whatever it is. Like, I don't have to punish myself or treat myself the way that other people treat me. I don't have to treat myself poorly. I don't have to punish myself. God isn't trying to punish me. He's trying to help me. And depriving myself of things that bring me peace and serenity and to help me to sleep at night and things like that. really isn't beneficial. It's more like a punishment. And so I basically, like, by watching YouTube videos and not getting out of bed because I was upset about a text message from my biological dad, just snowballed into not having a really good morning and not being able to get all of the stuff that the usual peace and serenity and like I'm in a good place before I have to go to work and deal with people. And I got some of that because I refused to leave the house without any of it, but I didn't get all of it. And that was hard. That made today a lot harder because of course it's Monday and everybody's calling, the phones are crazy, everything's crazy. All the stuff from the weekend, it's, everything from leftover from the week before. It's Monday. Anybody that has a job or anybody that, it's Monday. The dreaded Monday. Let's just get over Monday. Anyway, so that was work. And then of course, I was texting my biological dad again at work trying to get information. And then he mentioned that my two uncles, his two living brothers, had purchased a house together. And I thought that's odd because one of them is a widower and the other one I thought was married. And I was like, did he get divorced? Like, what happened? I have no idea. And so I text him, and then of course he calls me, and I can't honestly, probably the last time I talked to this man was at my grandmother's funeral because it was his mom's funeral and I had to. So I was just thoroughly impressed and super grateful to God for helping me to answer the phone because I just wanted my uncle's information. And I mean, he sent me the text that had the information, so I could have just been rude and ignored him, but I just felt like I should respond. And then he's like, hello, and I'm like, hi, and then nothing. And then he's like, hello, and I'm like, hi. And then he was like, oh, well, I'm not very good at texting. What did you want? And I was like, I just want this information. And then we got into some kind of discussion and it was dumb. And I was like, I don't know what the policies are. And it was just like, I don't know what the answer is. And it was like definition of immediate family. And I'm like, how the church defines the immediate family versus how like work or government, whatever, I don't know. So, because I just assumed that my biological dad's brothers, his brothers are his immediate family, and he is saying that my aunt is the immediate family. And so I was like, okay, I'm confused on how that works, but I was like, well, I can look into it, or I'm like, hey, you can look into it and you can deal with it. I got the information I need. I'm good. I don't know why my uncle got divorced. I don't want the drama. I don't need to know the details. I'm just like, okay, interesting. I am really not very connected with that side of my family. Not that I even pay attention to what's on the other side of the family as far as cousins and friends. I see what they post on Facebook. I don't hang out with them or keep in touch very good. I'm not very good at keeping in touch with people. So yeah, my Al-Anon friend B is right. I'm not the best friend. I don't keep in touch with people very well, and it's really annoying to her, and I'm sure it's annoying to a lot of people, but I just suck at keeping in touch with people and calling them up and saying something or doing something or whatever. I'm just antisocial a lot of my life. I've been that way my whole life. So it's not going to change just because my Al-Anon B friend doesn't like it. And clearly I'm going to miss out on a lot of things as far as my family goes because I don't know what's going on with them. So anyway, I got the information about my uncle so I can talk to my uncle about my question. But it was just annoying to have to talk to my biological dad and then to just be like, okay, I don't know what the answer is. Just you figure it out. And he's like, oh yeah, I know people I can ask. I'm like, good, then you go ask them. I'm like, I could be wrong. I don't want to argue. I'm like, and then I was so happy because I saw people getting up from the table from lunch. I'm like, and my lunch is over. I have to go back to work. So I had an excuse to get off the phone. And then I was relieved to get off the phone and I went back to work. And then I got an email and I was just devastated. And I know that's a huge overreaction, but I think that's one of those ADHD things, or maybe it's just one of my things, I don't know, but it's where I take things to the extreme. And when something doesn't work out or something doesn't go my way, I just I fell apart. I am just devastated. I'm crushed. It's like my whole world just comes tumbling down around me. And I know it shouldn't. And I know that's not a good thing. And I know I'm okay. But basically what happened is the PA in the doctor's office where I'm seeing, they had their little providers meeting during lunch today, and she sent me an email and basically said that the doctors there have decided or have asked that the PAs do not prescribe controlled substances to other employees. So if I want a controlled substance, which is my ADHD medications considered a controlled substance, then I have to go through one of the doctors. So I have to pick one of the doctors instead of the PA to get the medication. And I was already on the fence debating whether or not I wanted to ask her to do the non-stimulant medication, which is not a controlled substance, so she could technically do that for me. Or if I was going to ask her to up the dosage, because taking a half a pill kind of gives me a little bit of a stomach ache, but nothing I can't handle. But it doesn't actually feel like it's effective. Like it's just not working. It's not doing what it was doing when I was taking the full dose. So there has to be a balance in there somewhere. And I know there's a higher milligrams that I could take that's lower than the half. No, that's, how do I say this? 27 milligrams is what she gave me originally. And that was too much, and I was nauseous and having issues. There's an 18 milligrams that I could take for the same medication, but I'm taking half of the 27, which is about 13 and a half. Well, 13 and a half is half of 27. But the problem is it's really hard to cut little pills in half and to get them equal. So some of them might be a little bit more than 13 and a half, and some of them might be a little less than 13 and a half. But they're probably around somewhere between like 12 and 14 milligrams, maybe 12 and 15 milligrams per half at this point. So I don't know if 18 milligrams would be enough to make the difference that I'm looking for, or if I would have to try one of the other stimulant medications, or if I should try the non-stimulant medication. So I was debating on sending her a message today about it and about increasing it or taking it twice a day instead of once a day or something, but or just getting the 18 milligrams. But now I can't discuss it with her. I have to discuss it with the doctor. So I did have a mini meltdown. It was an internal mini meltdown, because I really wanted to cry. I really wanted to go to the bathroom and cry. I really wanted to go outside and just freak out, but I didn't. I just prayed, and I kept reminding myself that I was okay. And I just told myself I am not having a meltdown at work today, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to do all these things that are going to make me feel better so I don't have the need to do a meltdown, which is I'm going to go home and I'm going to do my laundry and I'm going to read my scriptures and meditationals and do all that stuff I should have done before work today, and I'm going to make dinner and lunch for tomorrow, and I'm going to be okay. And it's going to be okay. And I know that God was helping me to think of those things and think of something else. And then I was okay. And then I sent her an email back, and I thanked her for telling me. And then I sent her another email, and I said, just for clarification, like, I can still see you for like, the 6-month lab work and stuff, or the annual exams and things. She's like, oh yeah, you can see me for anything as long as it's not controlled substances. And I was like, okay, so I can still see her. I just can't see her for my ADHD unless I end up taking the non-stimulant medication, or I end up not taking any medication. So I'm like, okay, so that's a relief. And then of course, when I went to switch my appointment, because I'd already scheduled an appointment with her, so I went for the same day at the same time, just with one of the doctors, and I wanted one doctor, but he was booked, and he was booked out for that time. I don't know how far out, but I didn't want to wait as far out to find when I could see him. But the other doctor was available, had the same time, the same day, everything. So all I had to do was switch it. I didn't have to tell my supervisor. I didn't have to do anything else. I just had to switch from the PA to the doctor, which I mean is okay. And he's an internist, and the other one is a sports medicine doctor. I mean, they both do. It's a family practice, so they see anyone, family or whatever, but the one only sees 12 and up because he's an internist, and the other one sees anybody, and he does sports medicine stuff. So I but I don't know, I feel more comfortable with the sports medicine doctor than I do with the internist doctor. Not that I have a whole lot of interactions. I haven't had a lot of interactions with either one of them, but the sports medicine doctor is always giving me high fives or, knuckles or something. And when we had our Christmas party, I ended up on the same bowling lane as him, so I was bowling with him. And the other one is just kind of like, hey, how are you? Kind of awkward conversation, just like not really, I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable and at ease around him. I mean, he's really nice. I'm sure he's really nice. He seems really nice. My friend Jay that was going to edit my videos, she's been seeing him like her whole life and she loves him. Like, he's this great doctor. So many people love him. I get along with his kids that work there, or at least one of them that used to work there. And he's a really nice guy. I just don't really like the first conversation we ever had. Hey, I don't think I met you before. And I'm like, hey, I saw you over there. It's like, oh yeah, huh? And then we just kind of like, okay, stare at each other, like have no idea where this conversation is going, so it's just kind of like, hey, how are you? And so I don't feel as comfortable. But then I thought, okay, he's an internist and maybe this is a good thing. And maybe there's a reason I have to go see him. And, I know one of his daughters has ADHD and stuff too. So I'm sure he's familiar with it and he can take care of it and it'll be okay. It's just not what I wanted. And anytime that things happen that I'm not expecting or I don't want them to happen, it feels like I said, it feels like my entire world is just crumbling around me and like the rug is being pulled out from underneath of me. And I know that I'm overreacting and I'm crying. I'm sorry. I've been crying tonight. I've been having to let myself cry tonight, but I know that God is there and helping me and reminding me that it's okay. And he gave me the tools to help me get through work without having a mental breakdown, without crying in front of everybody and freaking out because I can't see the PA that I want to see for my ADHD. I have to see the internist because I can't get in to see the sports medicine doctor. And not that I wanted to see either one of the doctors. That's why I picked the PA. But I also picked her because she's female and I felt a connection to her and I feel comfortable with her. And I just feel more comfortable discussing personal issues with women than I do with men. And that has a lot to do with my upbringing and abuse and not having been in good relationships with men. So I have trust issues when it comes to men. And when you're going to see a doctor or someone, you want it to be someone that you can trust. And not that I haven't had good doctors and not that there haven't been good men in my life, because there have been several, in fact. It's just, it takes me some time to, to trust, to build that trust up. So, once again, I'm having to trust that God knows what is best. And I still have to decide if I'm going to send a message to the doctor, the internist, or if I'm just going to wait until my appointment next month to discuss what to do with my ADHD medication. So that's where that's at. And then, of course, I did come home and I stayed at work and work went, it was crazy and it was busy and it went really fast. And I'm so grateful that it did because I needed it to do that. I needed to be preoccupied with work because that was the only way. My brain wasn't going to keep going off onto things that were going to make me crazy at work. So I'm super grateful for that. And then I came home and I actually did my laundry. I did dishes. I made dinner. And while I was making dinner, I was reading my scriptures and meditation. It was just so I could have that peace and feel better. And I did. And I thought, okay, I'm being productive and I'm doing things that make me feel good and I can do this. And then I was sitting on my couch and watching TV like I always do. And I was trying to convince myself to make my videos. And instead of clicking on the YouTube button to see which day I was on for my videos, I clicked my email and I was like, okay, I can check my email. And I had an email and I wasn't expecting the email to come, but there it was. But it was an email from Deseret Book or Shadow Mountain that I submitted my manuscript to, and they basically said no. So, and I misinterpret things and I overanalyze things and I don't know. Basically they said that they don't have time. They're too busy to send me any specific notes on my book. So they can't tell me what's wrong with my book, But they also said, they could see that I put a lot of time and effort into creating my book, which I guess is good, but that they don't have the time and resources to work on my book, to publish my book, and they don't have the time or the resources to send me notes on what needs to be done with my book. So I don't know if that means there's a ton of work to be done on it, or if there's just a little bit of work to be done on it, or if it just really doesn't match whatever it is that they want to do. Because they didn't say it didn't match what they wanted, it just said that it was too much work. And I'm like, too much work for them, too much work for me. Like, not gonna, they're too busy to deal with my work. And that just is so many triggers for me on so many levels. Like, I just don't even want to get into that in the video. But again, me overreacting and my world coming crashing down. And then God reminding me that I made a commitment and a goal for myself that if they chose not to publish my book, that I was going to do it. And I have been thinking about talking to my editing friend and just being like, hey, what do I have to do to fix this book so that I can publish it? And because I want to be in control, I want to do it, and I want to make sure that it gets done. But I also want it to be good. And God reminded me that I have my writing group, and that I have my editing friend, and that I have my mentor that's supposed to be looking at that book, and I can remind her of that, and that I have friends that can do book covers, and I have people in my writing group that have self-published that can show me how to self-publish. So I don't have to do it on my own, but I can learn how to do these things from other people, and that would be a good thing for me to do. And of course, God also reminded me that it's back in my lap, because I like to be the damsel in distress, and I want someone else to come rescue me, and I want someone else to take over, and I want someone else to do all the legwork and the hard work, which is kind of, when I sent my book out there, I'm like, hey, it's a good story idea. You guys are going to fix it up and make it like a bestseller for me. And they're not going to do that. So, but I know it's a good book, and I know people that have read it like the book and they enjoy the book, and it will never be, I don't imagine that Lanoya and the Teachers of Powers will ever be a bestseller book. I imagine maybe The Plight of the Wise One might be, depending on how that goes. Maybe none of the books I write will ever be bestseller books. Maybe they will never get turned into movies, which is, I think, every author's fantasy, or at least mine. But it will never get turned into a movie or a TV series. But at least it will be something. And maybe there will be a small niche or a group of people that enjoy reading my books, and maybe someday I can make a living off of it, or maybe not. Maybe I could just retire off of my writing. Or maybe it's something I do like my YouTube videos, where I get, a handful of people that watch my videos, and I get a handful of people that read my books. But I feel good because I put it out there, because I chose to share it, and just trust that God will help whoever needs it to find it, and it will be okay. And so, but I know that I have lots of people in my life to help me. And so once again, I was just feeling devastated and depressed, and like, I can't do this. And my reaction, instead of turning away from everything, this time was to keep pushing forward, was to make all my videos that I haven't made for the weekend, was to pray to God and just be like, I can't do this. Like, everything's not working out like it's supposed to. And God just reminded me that everything is working out the way that it's supposed to, and that there's things that I need to learn from this, and that I can do, and that I still have that commitment to myself, and that I still have options and choices. And this is not the end just because I didn't get the response that I wanted. And I don't have to wait until March or April, which I thought I was going to have to get a response, because they already responded back within a month that they're not interested in my book. And so that gives me the time and the opportunity to work on it, to work out some kinks, and to make it the best that it can be. And I want to be grateful for that. I'm working on being grateful for that, because I know that's the lesson that God is trying to teach me right now. I am grateful to be reminded that I have choices, and that I have other people that can help me and support me, and that I don't have to do the traditional way of publishing. And I didn't want to do the traditional way of publishing, but it got me to work with my editing friend, and it got her to do some editing on my book, and it got me some feedback on my book. So, and it might just be close enough to where I can just go work with my editing friend and we can just work out some kinks over the next couple of months that maybe I can actually get my book published this year. And that would be amazing to me if I could at least get one book published this year, even if I don't finish writing any of the other ones or do anything with the other ones, if I could just do this one. Because I feel like that would just get over that first hurdle, and then it'll make it easier to go to the next one and the next one, and then I can increase the momentum and the speed, and it will be okay, and I can do this. And I am so grateful to God for reminding me that I can do this, and for all the little things this past weekend that have been building up to the fact that I can do this, and that God is there to help me to learn how to do all of these things, and I can't just pass it off onto somebody else like I want to. I have to learn how to do it, or I have to seek out the help that I need from people that I know so that they can teach me how to do it, and then I can go from there. So this has been my roller coaster of a day, and it could have been a lot worse, and I feel like I made better choices today, because I was trusting God to help me get through today, and because I turned to God when I felt like everything was falling apart, and God helped me see that it wasn't falling apart, and that maybe it just isn't what I wanted for today, but today turned out okay. And I still think it was a crappy day. Not my best day, but I'm like, yay, I survived, and I did the things that I was supposed to do today, and that helped me to feel a lot better instead of feeling worse about myself. So at least I can go to bed feeling good about myself for having tried to do the things that I know make me feel good, and feeling like I'm being productive even though I didn't get the things that I wanted to. I'm seeing that everything is still okay, and I'm still okay. And I'm just so grateful to God for helping me see that I am still okay. So thank you for watching me and my crazy in my video and listening to me and my ramblings. And if you like these videos, you can hit like, subscribe, share with someone else if you think they'll like it too. And I hope you have a great day full of gratitude and find ways to recognize God's hand in your life too.